Hiya, Year 10. Well, we're into the last week of term now, and we've been working through the green topics on this document here, and we're down to here now. Solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. So that's what I'm going to be doing with you today. We should pretty much finish this list by the end of the week, and then when we come back after the holidays, we will turn our attention a little bit more to exam papers and maybe start to look at actually completing a real GCSE maths exam paper. But that's for after half term, after a well-deserved break. Well done if you've kept yourself going on all this work over the last sort of 4 to 5 weeks. I know it's been difficult to keep going, certainly as for me, so I'm sure it has for you as well. But I do get a sense that we might be starting to get through this now. Let's hope so. Anyway, the quadratic formula. I think we might have done this in year 9 a little bit, but it's such a long time ago. I've forgotten, you've probably forgotten as well. So I'm going to assume no knowledge, okay? So let's start with this. I'm going to write an equation on the page, which I'm then going to solve. So there's the equation. 6x squared minus 7x minus 20 equals 0. And the question is, what is the value of x? Or in this case, what are the values of x? There are 2 of them. Now I'm going to do this in the way that you would probably attempt it now, given all the work we've been doing recently, which is to times the 6 by the minus 20 to give you minus 120, like so. And then to search around to find 2 values that multiply to make minus 120 and add to make minus 7. Okay, so we're going to find 2 numbers that multiply to make minus 120 and add to make minus 7. Okay, so it might take you a little bit of time to find those, but if you search around a little bit, you will discover that the 2 numbers that you need are 15 and 8, and you need to put the minus sign on the 15 like that. Okay, just have a check that you agree with that. Pause the video if you just need to check that that is indeed the correct pair of values that I need. Okay, so now this is just work. This isn't the quadratic formula, this is me doing it a way that you'll understand at the moment, and then I'll move on to the quadratic formula in a minute. So 6x squared goes there, minus 20 goes there, minus 15x, and then 8x are the 4 boxes. So here I need to find the number that goes into 6 and 15, that would be 3. So it's 3x here, that means that's 2x, that means that must be plus 4, and it means that that must be minus 5. Okay, I'm not explaining this as I go because you should already know how to do it. If not, refer to one of the earlier videos. Okay, that means that this can be factorised into the brackets 3x plus 4 and 2x minus 5, like so. Okay, and again, refer to a previous video if you can't remember how to do this, but basically now I can see that the answers are minus 4 over 3 or positive 5 over 2. And those are the 2 values of x. If I put them in there, would solve that equation. I'll just verify that by subbing in the 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is, of course, 2.5 or 2.5. So if I just type in now, it's difficult to get it to view easily for you. So I think probably you can see that. 6 times 2.5 squared minus 7 times 2.5 minus 20. I'm expecting this to say 0 when I press equals, because then it would be a correct answer. Bingo! And the other one would have worked as well. Minus 4 over 3, minus 1.3 recurring. So that is solving a quadratic equation by factorising. Now, little piece of information here, which you probably already knew, but just so it's clear. You can't always do this. You can't always put a quadratic expression into a pair of brackets. It doesn't work for all combinations. I mean, it certainly wouldn't have worked, for example, if that had been minus 19 there rather than minus 20. Okay, I would not have been able to find a pair of values that multiplied to make that total and added to make whatever. Okay, so it doesn't always work. So we need another method that will work in all cases, kind of. I'll come back to that next lesson. And that method is to use a formula that just gives you the answer straight away. You just plug the numbers into the formula and out comes the answer. So the question is, what do you plug into the formula? Well, let me show you. So, suppose you had a quadratic equation that was written in that form, which is exactly the same as this one here. We've got a number, x squared, a number x, and then a number. Same as this. So the a and the b and the c are just some numbers. They're whole numbers. In maths we call them integers. They can be positive or negative. So I need an equation that will just give me the answers straight away. And that equation is called the quadratic formula. And it looks like this. Notice the plus or minus sign there. That's so that we can get two different answers. If you don't know this formula already, trust me, you will soon. It's one of those things that most people don't have to remember for the exam. They just kind of know it. You know, like some people know the sine rule and the cosine rule. They don't have to look it up. They just know it. And I reckon you'll get to know this over the next 12 months or so. And by the time we get to the exam in next summer, you'll just know it. So anyway, that is the formula. Quite a complicated looking thing. Let's just check it works with our example here. So I'm going to write the question out as if I was starting again from scratch. Here we go. So I need to use the formula by deciding what the values of a, b and c are. So if I just compare this with the general case, I can see that a is equal to 6, b is equal to -7, and c is equal to -20. And those are the values that I'm going to sub into the formula. Now obviously you do this on a calculator, but before you get your calculator out, you should write it out first. Just like I always advise you to do it in any formula, before you actually type it in. So, minus b. Well, b is -7, so minus b is 7. So the sign flips on the b for that bit there. And it's plus or minus the square root of b squared. Make sure you put the b in a bracket like that on your calculator and on your page. 4 times a, which is 6. And then c, so which is -20. Now I am going to put it in a bracket. It would actually work if you didn't, but just for consistency, I'm going to put the -20 in a bracket there, as well as I did with the -7. I had to put the -7 in a bracket, but it all gone wrong. So all that's divided by 2 times 6, and I'm literally just going to type that in now on my calculator. I'm having real problems getting this in a position where you can actually see it. I've got to get the light shining on it properly. There we go. So I am now typing in that thing that you see. Oh God. Let me just move this up so you can see it. I'm going to type that in on my calculator. So here we go. So it's 7 plus, I can't do plus and minus at the same time, let's do the plus. The square root of, in a bracket, -7 squared minus 4 times 6 times, open bracket, though you don't really need to for this one, but I'm going to do it anyway, -20. And then in the bottom, underneath the denominator of the fraction, it's 2 times 8, so 2 times 6. Here we go, press equals 5/2. That was one of our answers. So how do I get the other answer? Do I have to type it all in again? No. I go through and I edit it. What have I done here? Oh dear. You shouldn't have to type it in again, but I've messed up, so I am going to have to type it in again. But this time, what I would have done if I'd done it properly was edit it and change the plus. Sorry, you can't see that. The plus sign there to a minus sign. But I'm having to type it all in again because I don't know what I did on my calculator, but I messed it up. So I'm just typing it all in again. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh God, I forgot to put... Oh dear me, this is going well, isn't it? I'll start again. 7 minus, this time, the square root of, open bracket, minus 7, close bracket, squared, minus 4 times 6 times, open bracket, minus 20, close bracket. Go to the bottom, 2 times 6. And I'm expecting this time to get the other answer from earlier, which was the minus 4 over 3. Oh, what a surprise. It does. So there you are. That is another way of finding the solution to a quadratic equation like this when it's written in this form. It has to be written in that form. You can't have things on this side, it doesn't work. It has to equal naught. Okay, by literally subbing in the values, the numbers that are in front of the three terms that you'll have here on the left. It's that simple. So that's what you're going to be doing. However, the ones you're going to be doing, these ones here, okay, don't necessarily factorize. So you couldn't use this method here. And you can usually tell that that's the case when in a question they say give your answer to 2 decimal places. If they do that, then it's usually because they don't factorize. You can't write them as fractions like this. Okay, so I'm just going to do one of them to show you what I mean, because I think it's important that you see this in action. So let me, for example, have a go at, oh, I don't know, question 11. I'll do question 11. Okay, so question 11 is, do it here, 3x squared plus 4x equals 5. There we are. The sun's coming out now. I don't know what it's going to do to my presentation. It's a bit dark, isn't it? I'm not an expert on this sort of stuff, but there we are. Okay, so we're going to use the quadratic formula to solve that. Now, first things first, I've deliberately chosen one that's past question 10, because the first 10 on the sheet, they all say equals naught. So they're ready to roll, they're ready to go. But all the ones after that, you have to do some manipulation before you can use the formula. So this one here, I have to do something first before I can use the formula. And in this case, quite simple, I'm going to take away 5 from both sides. And if I do that, it's now ready to roll, and it's in the correct form. Okay, 3x squared plus 4x minus 5 equals naught is in the correct form. So I can use the formula just like I did on the last one. So it's A equals 3, B equals 4, and C equals minus 5. Okay, I'm going to get a new piece of paper here, and I'm going to run out of space. Otherwise I'll keep this going. Hopefully. Right, so there we are. 3x squared plus 4x minus 5 equals naught. A equals 3, B equals 4, and C equals minus 5. Now I know you can't see it on the screen now, but I am now typing, I'm now putting that into that formula from earlier, the one that I wrote in red. And here it is. Alright, it's this formula here. Okay, and so I've got A is 3, B is 4, and C is 5, and I'm putting the numbers into there. So minus B, so this time minus 4 plus or minus the square root of B squared. No bracket required this time because it's positive. Minus 4 times A, which is 3, times C, which is minus 5, like that. All divided by 2A, which is 2 times 3. There we go. So I'm now going to type that in on the calculator. Minus 4. Oh, I've got to sort this out so you can see it. Plus, oh, I've forgotten to put me thing. Minus 4 plus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times 3 times, open bracket, minus 5, divided C, divided by 2 times 3. Okay. Now when I press equals this time, it won't come straight up with an answer as a fraction because it doesn't factorize. So it doesn't have a nice fraction answer. It'll come up looking something horrible like that. So, but you've met this sort of situation before, and you press this SD button here to turn it into a decimal. And this gives me an answer, so I've got to round off to 2 dp of 0.79. Okay, so there's the first answer, 0.79. Let's see if I can get this right this time. To get the second answer, I think I've got this right. I press this button here. Okay, and then I can scroll along to this thing here. Hang on a mo. That's the previous one. What's happened here? Oh, God. Oh, this is not... Oh, no, here we are. That's the one. Oh, I did then. I seem to get back to the one from before. Anyway, so I scroll along there, and I delete the plus sign there, and I replace it with a minus sign. It's this minus sign here. Now when I press equals, I will get a second answer. SD again, and it's minus 2.12. There we go. And those are the two answers, rounded both to 2 dp for the original question, which was 3x squared plus 4x equals 5. Interestingly, I wanted to check that now. I could type in one of those two values, but it won't come out to be exactly 5. I'll show you. So if I type in the 0.793 times 0.79 squared plus 4 times 0.79, that's me subbing into there, 0.79. I'm expecting to get the answer 5 for it to be correct. It won't be 5. It's just slightly more than 5. Do you understand why it's not come out exactly 5? I reckon you do, because I rounded that off. The real answer isn't that. It's some long, horrible decimal thing that you can't be bothered to write out, and it doesn't matter anyway. Those are the correct answers to 2dp. So anyway, there you go. That's the quadratic formula. This is the sheet. For goodness sake, don't do all of them, not unless you're an absolute fan of this. If there is such a thing as a fan of quadratic formulae. Just spend your hour, get as many done as you like. You don't have to just do the first 10. If you're bored of the first sort of 10, you've done a few of them, and you think, oh, I get this, maybe try some of the ones from question 11 onwards, where it gets a bit trickier. Next lesson, I'll show you how you would go about doing 15, 16, 17 and 18, which are probably the only ones on here that you'll struggle with. I think you'll be alright with these ones at the end here, but 15, 16, 17 and 18, they're probably the hard ones for you to do. But I'll show you how to do those next lesson on Thursday. So, hopefully everybody understands what they've got to do. Thank you for listening, and don't forget you can contact me at any time today if you need some help. Stay safe, everyone, and I really hope I'll be seeing you soon. Bye for now.